Are we recording? Yeah, there we go, recording. So welcome to the BudNixon channel. I think it's time to make another video, and this one specifically will be in regards to the diesel heater. Why and why did I do it the way I did it? Why am I using it? Why it works the best in my opinion out of all the heaters on the market? And I'm not talking about specific models, I'm just talking about the concept of a diesel heater. And why did I set it up the way I've set it up. So there are many of them on the market as far as like the Chinese brand. And a lot of people are calling them the Chinese diesel heaters. While in turn, I think the term Chinese now is referenced more a lot with the fact that they're just cheaper or cheapest on the market, right? Anything that's Chinese right now probably will be the cheaper on the market, or at least the stuff that's sold in US or on the US market that's Chinese is cheaper, right? Let's see. Anyways, I'm not trying to make any references to the facts of Asian markets and Chinese things, but let's get away from this improper topic for now. We're talking about Chinese diesel heater, and again I'm saying a Chinese diesel heater, but if you're gonna YouTube it, search it, Google it, diesel heater doesn't give you much, but when you put Chinese diesel heater, everything pops up, right? There's a lot of these, I'm watching a lot of guys who are just pointing out certain things, and they're having certain faults with these heaters apparently. A lot of people are complaining about the fact there's no directions, no instructions, and how the manufacturer is to be blamed for it. You know what? We forgot how to be self-reliant. We forgot how to be self-responsible, and we forgot simply how to do research without actually Googling it, right? I mean, like how to figure it out, kind of thing, right? Common sense. Let's put it that way. So there are a lot of manufacturers from China that make this heater. There are multiple myths and stories. I have not personally done it, but I've heard guys testing out units that say that a lot of times 5K and 8K or kilowatt, I should say, heaters are actually no different for the most part. Again, I've not tested it myself. This is just rumors that I've heard. They say that simply manufacturers will slap on an 8 kilowatt sticker on a 5 kilowatt unit and sell it as one as like 8 kilowatt, just for a few bucks extra or whatever. But in any case, do your own due diligence, try it out. Nowadays, the beautiful thing about, I'm gonna say probably, I'm not sure how other countries do it, but in US here, especially on Amazon, a lot of things are what? Free shipping, and guess what? Free return. So buy it, try it, don't like it, return it. As simple as that. How will it work outdoors? How long will it last? How much fuel am I gonna need? Hey, if you venture out or get out there, test your gear out at home. That's the most common thing to do. I mean, it's just common sense. Again, turn the heater on. You're gonna run through a couple of gallons of fuel, right, to test it out for whatever extended period of time that you're gonna test it. You're gonna find out how bad your battery is gonna get burnt up or used up. You're gonna find out how much it'll last you. You'll know how much heat it's gonna put out. Get a thermostat or temperature sensor of some sort and get yourself a reading. Figure it out. It's pretty basic and simple. And I just hate to mumble on about something that's, to me personally, is just common sense. But lately I've been told by the younger generation that the guys say that, hey, for something like, putting a bolt and a nut together, like for me, it's just a basic, easy, something that I do every day. While for that younger generation, for them to put a bolt or not put it together and screw something together and put it together, for them it's like a wow factor, right? While this guy named Nixon is putting these things like snowcats back there together, right? And I think that there is common sense to me. Swapping in a diesel engine, oh well, that's not a big deal, just a couple of nights of work. So anyways, I'm not trying to make any points about who is good, who is bad or whatever. All I'm just trying to convey information-wise is try it before you buy it, or try it before you're actually gonna use it and put yourself in a position where you just, you're not, get rid of that uncertainty. It's as simple as that. So let's see what I've done. When I bought this thing is 2 years old now, have faultlessly worked for me. I'm happy with it. There's one thing that I'm not happy about, which it was my fault that I did it, or the way I bought it, I should say. There are a couple of things that I would love to change about the whole design that I did. Yet I like overall what I've done, right? So again, any questions or comments down below, I will gladly make another video. Honestly, not a problem. I do understand the fact that some have more experience, some have less experience. So, but the simplicity of the fact is, like I said, any gear that you need to figure out if it's gonna work for you or you're not sure about it. We live in a great country where you can buy and return if you don't like it. Even if it's a used item, just return it. So try it, figure it out if it's gonna work for you. If not, return it. And you don't need to ask all these simple questions. Don't be a lazy ass, right? It's just as simple as that. So, diesel heater, runs on diesel, runs on 12 volt. It consumes the most electricity during a startup because it has to get the glow plug going. And then the furnace fan, I'm gonna call it the furnace fan, or the fan inside, right? The blower fan. It gets going, you know, it fires up the engine or whatever, the cycling inside of it or whatever, the burn chamber. So at that point, it takes the most electricity. So a lot of people who are running these, they recommend, or they say, I've never done it literally, is you can run your car or run the battery connected to the generator of your car while you're starting it up. And then once it's started, there's a lot less stress on the battery. So for starters, again, you need diesel fuel and you need a 12 volts power supply. How much of each you need is depends on how much of each you're gonna use as far as heating, right? If you're gonna heat yourself for only 4 hours, you obviously need a lot less. If you're gonna do it for non-stop for 5 days, you're gonna need more fuel, you're gonna need more power, obviously. And if you're not recharging it to have a big enough battery to last all those days for you. So let's go over the actual heater and see what we're talking about, right? So I bought mine in an enclosure, the metal enclosure, very popular one. I can actually just throw a link on Amazon. I do not get paid for affiliation links or anything like that. But I bought mine in a metal enclosure. I just didn't like the fact that I have to worry about weathering or wet or snow, because I'm using this in the snow mostly, a lot of times in a blizzard, obviously. So I need it to be enclosed so I don't have to worry about it at all. Like I can put it outside, snow falling in it, I don't care, right? The exhaust just does its job because it just keeps snow melted around it. The rest of it does not make any concern for me. So this is an 8 kilowatt unit from what I was told before I put this thing on there, and I've been tempted to figure it out. Actually, because I do believe it's an 8 kilowatt, but I don't want to rip that part out. Anyways, so it's a 5-quart tank. And the rest of the setup is same. So what I've done with the actual unit, I've extended the power wires so I can run it far away from the actual box if I need to. In most cases, battery still sits right here, but if I need to, I can do that. And the other thing is I've extended the controller wire as well. So when you have the controller working, it does, you know, you can have the controller in your tent or anywhere else far away from the heater. That's just a good way to do it. I also bought one of these guys, trial and error. I do like it. For those who have used different ones, what's nice about this guy is it's just simple. It's on, off, and then you control the amount of heat you want, and the rest controller does. So with this guy, I don't want to get too technical about it, but with this one, I believe there is a actual temperature sensor inside. So with this guy, you'll be able to simply set it and forget it with the fact that there's a, well, I think there might be the remote control sensor. Правда. Excuse me. But this thing has a temperature sensor in it, as far as I'm aware. If you set it to a certain temperature, it'll get it to the temperature and hold it there. But also, you have a way of switching to the hertz setting, which control the amount of pulses the pump does in turn of how much fuel it will dump into the chamber. So the more fuel it dumps into the chamber, the hotter obviously things gonna get, right? So anyways, but what was nice is I like about this certain controller is you set it to a 1, and you know, it just keeps it at 1. You set it to 10, it'll just blow hot air all night long, all day long, as long as you got the fuel. So what I have found, considering this is Oregon, and these are our Pacific Northwest winters, which we get to 0 degrees max, worst case scenario, at least what I've seen. I mean, I've seen it colder, but for example, I'm gonna refer to the weekend that we just had. Our temperatures probably were around, I'm gonna say 20s, maybe, you know, 15 degrees. I'll say at the lowest possible. So 15 degrees Fahrenheit. And we slept in the rooftop tent, 2-person tents. My heater was set to 2 to 3 from the lowest setting. And that was plenty enough where I was sleeping basically out of the sleeping bag. Like, I just used the sleeping bag to just kind of lounge and cover yourself leisurely, or, you know, comfortably. If you're trying to heat things up, you obviously can crank it up and get it hotter. So what I end up doing is I have a couple of these batteries. So these are Duracell. No, I did not buy them. I got them through work. I'm trying to find you guys some data on this. So deep cycle 55 amp hour AGM. I believe these are obviously not a car battery, not a starting battery. So I took 2 of these batteries with me. They lasted me my 5 days. I used both of them. I brought them back. I did a volt meter thingy. So I left with 13.2. I came back with 12.3 on them. So just something to keep in mind. And this is how I maintain my battery banks. Just have a battery tender that I swap from battery to battery, and it does it, you know, does enough. So basically, 55 dedicated 55 amp hour battery should last you 2 days of use on the heater without any issues. Now that's considering you're running the same temperatures again as I am, and not, you know, subarctic, whatever. So this is a 2-car garage, right? This is my shop per se, whatever. It takes me roughly 15 to 30 minutes on average Oregon winter day to heat up the garage. And then I set it again to like 2 or 3 on the setting, and it'll just click away, maintaining the heat inside the garage without any problems. So, okay, I think that wraps up the part about the heater. Now let's go into the actual design and what I do with the box. So, box, or the heater obviously is like a furnace. So it has air intake and air outtake, right? And then exhaust and air. The way I design my box, let's just go from around the whole thing, right? So the way I design it is you buy a 16-foot ducting hose, and you can run it from one end to another if you want. So I try to circulate it if I can. Now, if I can't, which was fine, you just open up these guys. So this one was made for recirculating it. This was made to just simply take fresh air, heat it up, and throw it in your tent. Both of these ideas work great. Like I said, I don't get water inside at all. I've not had any problems with that. I mean, it just does the job, right? So this guy is basically, if I'm just simply heating the shop and I don't really care about where the heat goes, so it just blows out. My toolbox setup comes already with a screwdriver. So I'm doing a little tricky stuff here. So I'm gonna tell you the problem that I found that I didn't like about it. So originally what I had here, so if those who sailboat or use boats, so this is a like an access door or whatever, or access plug and door for something on top of your boat so you don't get water in there. I lost the lid, go figure. But that's what used to be here. But now I just use this guy, and it, you know, blows one way or the other. So next, what we got is, this is where the hot air comes in. This stuff gets hot here. I bought my unit, what I was telling you guys about is what I kind of screwed up on, is I bought it with 4 outlets. So this is nice if you're gonna do like 4 different areas where you wanna direct the heat. In my case, I don't care for it right now, so I don't really need it. So I just end up cutting this out a little bit to just let it go all in here. And that works fine for me. So at this point, again, this is, you know, obviously a prototype. I know there are some guys that are kind of making similar cases now. Some of them are trying to sell it. If you don't want to make it yourself, you can, you know, get it from them or whatever works, right? So another thing here is, this is the air intake for the combustion chamber, and this is the exhaust. And in my case, all I have to do is I take this guy, put this in, there it is, right? Exhaust air goes out. I put a clamp on it so I don't have any leaks out exhaust. As you see, there's a clamp right there. So I have no issues here with exhaust. Gas is inside here. The air filter, it's a good idea to put it together. I think I put tape on it because I smacked it or it wasn't holding together too well. So I end up just screwing that out here, like that, and it does its job. It's as simple as that. I guess the design calls for the dripper for the fuel supply here is to go this way. It's kind of a crazy because it's hot here, right? But in any case, it doesn't get that hot. So I secured it to this plate, to the bent aluminum that I fabbed, and then I basically ended up spacing things out. And like I said, this space here, I mean, I'm running like less than 1/4 of an inch around the actual exhaust. I've had no problems of any, you know, anything melting, anything getting hot. But this thing does get hot. It will get hot. For that specific reason, I carry this thing. It's basically like I think 1.5 inch exhaust tube. A lot of times my heater is inside the tent, like a kitchen tent or a ground tent of some sort. So what I'll do is I'll use this as a buffer for the heat, and then you just put a couple of, I don't know, a couple of pieces of wood or whatever, you know, firewood around it. They'll prevent it from melting anything or damaging anything. A lot of people talk about using up air. So in my case, this thing sits inside our garage, and the actual heater utilizes the air from inside of the garage, right, to burn the fuel. Not to heat, but to burn the fuel to create heat. And basically they're saying that I'm taking the oxygen away from my workspace, which, you know, in turn kind of not good for you or whatever. But as you see, this garage has plenty of cracks. Door is open plenty of times. I don't think I have to worry much about actual air supply where I stand or where I happen to be. Let's get this thing put together. I'm gonna assemble it a little bit and see where we can go from there as far as you know, having you guys hear it run and whatnot. So this is gonna be one long video. Stay tuned. So for the sake of testing, I set it up on my door out of the garage. I'm utilizing here is an 8 amp hour 12 volt, this kind of battery, which is charged at 12.4 right now. So as you go through the menu, the E stands for error. So this thing gives you error codes if there's any errors actually in here. So if pump's not working or glow plug is bad, it'll give you an error code, which a lot of times you can Google and people will share the information and tell you. So this tells me basically that it's been on 2 minutes since I turned it on, because if you have it connected all the time to your whatever power source, what will happen is you can set the time here, just like in your, you know, so this serves like a clock, and then you have an option of having alarms and such set. So there's the temperature that's showing. I believe this is the outside temperature right now. This has been set to the P setting, which is the pulse or the pump setting, whichever it may be. And again, volts here, right? So the buttons on the right, these control your heat up and down. And then this one's obviously the power button. So in here, you can, I'm not gonna do it, but if you click through, it'll give you two options to set alarm, meaning to set it on and off time for the heater. So let's get it going. So press and hold. It clicked first time, so it's on. I want to be outside completely because I get really drafty, windy here, so it's kind of crap. So I could tell that it's starting to get air going. So here, let's go get I have one of those temperature sensor gauges thingies here somewhere. So give me a minute while the heater is warming up. Oh, there we go. So let's show you what it is. This guy tells you the humidity and everything else. So right now, I guess it's kind of a little frozen. So it's telling us it's 12 degrees Celsius and it is 75 degrees relative humidity, or 75%, roughly 53 degrees outside. So let's see if we can hear. Fuel pump hasn't gotten going yet. So the wind is blowing. This is my first time actually running this on this battery. So we'll see how that goes. There it goes. Yep, so the pump clicked on. So the pump lights up here. And then you see the blue and red. That means that the exhaust intake and outtake are starting to work in there, whatever. So then you see the bubbles moving right here, boom, boom, with every click. So basically, I guess it's like a drop pump or drip pump, whatever. See the air bubbles in there. So we got power. Actually, I wonder how long that battery will keep this thing going. And I've seen people use kerosene mixed with diesel. I've seen people try all sorts of biodiesels in these things. Obviously, it is your due diligence to figure out what you want to do and how long you want it to last. There are whole science behind it in a certain sense. If you try to get away from what it was meant to be or what it was meant to do. Another thing is you have to always keep in mind that your glow plug has to face up. So these diesel heaters are meant to be mounted either floor mount or side mount, but you cannot mount them top high, obviously, and you cannot mount them the wrong side way, which will put the glow plug on the bottom. So I believe that the glow plug always has to face high up on the position, right? Because this is square shaped box. The fuel pump, this thing gets annoying in a certain sense because as you hear it clicking, so it's starting to fire up a little more. So as it starts to click more, that gets a little more annoying. But in general, it's not too bad. So this thing has to be in a certain degree as well. You cannot have it pointing straight or flat or whatever, because it'll drip and it'll drop slowly fuel into the burn chamber. So we started, it was I think 3 minutes, so 4 minutes into it, we got hot air. You can see it's already 71, 73, starting up at 75 degrees, 76 degrees. Look at humidity drop. Do you see that? So what's nice about the humidity drop is that this heater will actually dry out your tent and will dry out your surrounding area. Now keep in mind that the inlet air is definitely cold. Inlet air is 65, 62, 60, 59, so just like outside. So if you're out snow camping and taking cold air like 32 degree air or below 0 degree air, whatever that this thing utilizes, your fuel efficiency, well, not fuel efficiency, but your heating efficiency is a lot less, obviously. So it's something to consider when you want to do this, is to recirculate the air. So now this is very pleasant heat coming out here. We can look at this thing again. So we're at 120, 130, close to 140. Yeah, this is nice and warm. But you can hear the pump just click, 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 click. It's clicking away. Let's see what we get for. So we're at 11.2. Keep that in mind. So this battery is right now being really, really drained because of the startup. So 11.1, 11. Yep. And once this thing fires up and the glow plug is good, I think that's what's happening right now. You see, the battery's kind of becoming more alive again, simply because we've got the heat that we needed. So now the controller is telling the pump to just keep on pumping the fuel, but the fan and glow plug are doing a lot better. So I switched back to Celsius. So what do we got here? (120, 125, 130 degree air, and the battery is back to 11.9, 11.8, 12. So now all we got going on is basically at this point, it's not the glow plug is good, right? The burn chamber got the fire going. So all you have is the power from the battery going for just forcing the air through the pump. I mean through the heat chamber. And then the pump, can you guys hear it? It's just going click, 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 click. Nothing crazy, right? We're at 12.2 already. This is gonna be a long video. 12.2. Now again, remember that I have it set to the lowest heat. And what we can do is bump it up. So this was a 1.6 hertz, which is very low frequency. And I believe this thing will go up to 5.4 or 5.3. Now listen to the pump. 5.5. That's it. 5.5. Do you hear it? It's starting to click more. Let's see our voltage. Where's our voltage? See, voltage doesn't. I wonder if it's going to drop a lot. Because now all is happening since the whole thing fired up. All we got going on is just the fan increasing its speed, which is lowering the battery, but it's not getting to the 11, or maybe it will. Ooh, man, I can't even hold my hand anymore. It's getting that hot. We're holding steady, 120 degrees. 120, 134, 137, 140, 42. I guess this warm, right? 140 again. And then the relative humidity is at 22%. So this gives you an idea of the fact that, now I'm just gonna shake it outside here. So this thing, while the heater is working, this number will eventually just come right back up once this thing gets, because outside we got, this is Oregon, so 57-ish, 50-ish relative humidity. Well, yep, we're 11.3 again. This thing, you know, is getting. You want to know another trick? Another trick about this is if you're running this inside of your tent, obviously that's a very good idea. But even if it's outside of your tent, it might be not a bad idea. This right here is gonna get hot. And right here, this is already warm. I mean, it's normal warm, but you you close the case, there's no issues of rain or anything. Right, number one. Number two, this spot right here is perfect for a battery. Because this case gets warm, starts heating up the battery, and battery lasts longer. That's number two. Number three, the hose that goes from here, wherever you pull it, if you wrap it through your battery, it'll keep your battery even warmer. Gives you another third pointer as far as getting things last longer. Right? And then if you recirculate the air from your wherever you're coming in, back through the chamber and back in there, it will make it more efficient. So at this point, I think I'm gonna wrap up because I think we're good. Now keep in mind, the shorter the hoses, wherever they're heading, unless they're very well insulated, the shorter the hoses, the better it is, the more efficient you are. If you're running a 16-foot hose that goes from your box, from your heater, either this setup, or it goes from a regular box that you buy it, however it's sold, and it goes basically from that box, and it it goes from your ground floor level up all the way to your rooftop tent, up to your rig. Guess what? By the time that air gets there, it is just cold, I think. I mean, I'm sure it'll get there because that thing will just keep on. I mean, you'll have it cranked up at 10, and it'll blow you warmer, hot air, but you just so much efficiency are out of it. I mean, you're just heating up the nature. But I'm sure all the deer and wildlife thanks you. Anyways, so I'm gonna try to stitch this video up pretty quick. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry if it's long. It is gonna be long. It's gonna be probably 30-40 minutes long. I hope I gave you guys a lot of useful information. Again, comment below if you have any questions. Go and research on your own. It's a lot more fun. That's an adventure in its own, right? But feel free. I'll give you pointers as much as I can. Like I said, if I have enough comments and enough questions, I will make another video if need be. That's not a problem. I don't have a problem doing that. What else is there? What else is there? Oh, BudNixon, right? BudNixon Instagram, BudNixon YouTube. Check it out more. Share, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. I'm gonna tell you all that stuff. Whatever. Make some more commotion on the channel. Peace, guys. Thanks for watching. Всем спасибо за внимание. Видео будет больше и больше на английском, друзья. Так что, салют.